Tuesday night, 9:30 on the East Coast. Bumper running, recording, streaming, all over the place. Del Didway standing by, chat room waiting, starting countdown to Studio 18. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay, there we are. Good evening. Welcome to pjnet.tv, part 2, featuring every Tuesday night at 9:30 Eastern. Del would say 8:30 Elvis time. Del Didway joins us, and he is standing by. He came in. We're all coming in a little hot tonight. Del, you were spending some quality time with grandchildren, as you often do, but felt the need to, I think they were going to sleep anyway, but you pulled away from that to share some time with us tonight. But that is not the only, leaving grandchildren is one thing. They'll still be there after the program, albeit asleep, but sometimes you get a kick in the gut. And I read your blog this week, and you knew it was coming, but it still hurts.
Oh yeah, and again, thanks for having us here tonight. We're always appreciative of the time, and you're the only person I would have left my grandson early for. So,
Del, you have texted me in an ambulance heading to the hospital.
Yeah, no memories. And he was falling asleep anyway. We had a good visit this evening for a few hours. I got away from everybody for a little bit and visited with my grandson. We babysat. And had a good time. So she's still over there with him, probably on her way home now. But I had to leave early and come to this. Mm-hmm. And always worth it. Always, worth. Glad that everybody's out there. I wish I could. I tried to get on the chat room again tonight, and I must be banned.
You have demons. Yeah, there's a demon.
I just can't get on there. So I appreciate everybody, all the text messages that I'm getting. I know Amy from Dallas sent me a nice Elvis. GIF or GIF, whatever you want to call it. So I always appreciate that. So, I appreciate everybody being out there tonight. And, I caught some of Craig's show on Facebook. He's an interesting cat, and I'm honored to represent him as his agent. So
I did not know that, Del.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, by the way, if we can plug our program next week, Lee Weeks. Is a new honestly, Del, I wasn't sure when you made that career decision. I'd support you. You'll do well in anything you do, but I wondered, this is all new to you, but you are coming out strong.
Well, no, Lee's got a good story. We have similar backgrounds, and I thought when we first met, he'll get exposure, but this would be a great way for him to jump on there too. So I sent him to you. So Lee's a good guy.
I was going to say, Del, I appreciate it. I want to say publicly, folks, if you know of somebody that wants to share their walk with Christ, please let myself or Sunbelt Girl know, because Del gave me a heads up, and it turns out that Lee and I have a mutual friend that I had lost contact with. And he's reestablishing that connection. But I spoke with him for an hour. An hour, Del. Yeah. That's not the typical dry run, 5 minutes. No. He's one of those guys. He's great. But anyway,
I like him. We kind of hit it off. So the blog. I did know this was kind of had a hankering, I guess you'd say, that this was coming several weeks ago. We were in communication with some close contacts and some sources, and then about a month ago, we kind of got wind that. The IOC, the International Olympic Committee, was leaning towards not having anybody come in from out of the states, from out of the country, which meant us. If we were quote unquote media, we could probably do it, but we were going as a mission team, and I was going to be the media director for them. So I think your NBCs will still be able to go there because they're paid a lot of money to do that. And we will not be going to Tokyo, which was, kind of disappointing. I'd done a lot of research on Tokyo last year when we were slated to go, and then the virus broke out, and the Olympics were put on hold, and so was our trip. And, we maintained contact with our team. And then, like I said, about a month ago, we kind of got wind that probably would not be going, but it was made official this past weekend. So, but it's disappointing, but there's bigger and brighter things down the road, and you have to deal with that.
Well, and I remember how excited you were to be engaged with and a part of such a mission, and I can't think of anybody better for the job.
Yeah.
I mean, you have been training for this for some years, and you have proven yourself capable. But then the matter, you had to get a passport, you had to raise money and all that. So now you've got a bank account with money to go to Tokyo. What are you going to do with that money? Go to Las Vegas?
Well, I could use a car, so I'm going to do that. So no, you mentioned training, and I don't know what studio I'm in because I can't see myself. So I think I'm in Studio 18. I got lost because I was going to Studio 20.
Well, you were there.
Yeah, there I am.
There you are.
So there I am. So now I'm in Studio 18. It's my first time to be in this. It was kind of funky looking, but I like it.
Well, it's kind of LSU kind of looking.
Where's the gold? So anyway, you mentioned training. I'm not going to be in the games. I'm not going to do anything physical like that. So
I meant that in the sense your work up to this point, and it has been an inspiration not only to me, Del, but to so many. Where you go find those athletes that have a story to tell.
Well, how I was introduced to this was through a friend of mine who, it's just, you talk about this a lot, Coach, but it's this circle we run into, right? And so one evening, myself and Angie and my agent Kyle and Michelle and her husband and a couple of other friends, we all went to Cincinnati to a Reds game. And afterwards, we went out to dinner, and Michelle had brought one of her friends. She told one of her friends that we were going to be there, and his name was Stan Lovins. And so Stan and I hit it off. Stan used to play minor league baseball, and we've been down in the locker rooms together. And so we stayed in touch with each other a lot. He has a ministry called Sandlot Ministries. And we were talking one day, and he's just like, Dale, I'm going on this mission trip, and you should go with us. And he told me about it, and I said, we're going to Tokyo. We're going to, go on a mission trip to the Olympics. And he said, would love for you to, reach out and see if you could go. And so, it's everybody, in our little circle. Michelle introduced me to Stan. And so that's where that came about. And Stan and I were talking the other day. So, he's still planning to go to Paris. I'm going to make plans to go to Paris now in 2024. So that money that was raised, and I appreciate there's some folks here that's helped with that, that's donated to that cause. So that those funds that I raised are in some Swiss bank account somewhere.
It's in a Ponzi scheme or something.
Yeah, they're over in the Cayman Islands. But no, Dr. Mings was telling me, he said, hey, what you raised, we can use that for your trip to Paris. And so, that was assuring and comforting because they took a hit. I mean, Lay Witnesses for Christ International, they're out of, I think, Houston or Dallas, one of the other, down in Texas. That's a big state.
Big state.
Great state of Texas. So,
it's a republic.
They're being invaded though. They took a hit, because it's all nonprofit. They're all charities. This is all they do is they take a team to the Olympics every 4 years. And so they had to plan ahead, in Tokyo. He told me they had, hotel reservations already, and they had all these things worked out a year in advance. And, they couldn't recoup that. So they took a big bath on that. So a lot of folks did. And Tokyo is going to be hurting because I know how much they spent. I have an idea how much they spent. I can't fathom how much they spent, but they're counting on the world coming to Tokyo and spending money, and now the world's not going to be there. So they're still going to. I hope they make it. I hope they financially make it, but it's going to be a struggle for them. And then they had the earthquake last week. So obviously, as Stan told us, for some reason, God doesn't want us there. And so we're not going to argue with it. We're not going to question it. We're just going to have our eyes on Paris and spend 3 weeks in Paris in 2024.
Dell, on a personal level, you and I have a love for sports. I love football, but you love all sports, and I love the good things about all competitive sports, even if I don't like the sport. But you and I have watched sports in general turn into a platform for political shenanigans, let's just say. Yeah, are the Olympics the last bastion of hope and purity for just the goodness of athletic competition?
I certainly hope so, but this gives those evil tentacles can reach, and they'll try to worm their way in there, and they'll try to speak and get their agenda out there. I'm sure. We're watching in the NCAA right now. There's been several teams kneel. And you know what would happen if players from North Korea in the Olympics kneeled in their national anthem? You know what would happen to them?
It would be the last thing they did.
You'd never see them again. And other countries, you would never see that. You would never see them again. And I'm not making that up.
No.
You wouldn't see them. They would be gone.
Literally.
Yes, literally, they would be gone. But this country, we fought and died for freedom. We have cowards who take it upon themselves to kneel at the country that's giving it to the country they're representing. And I'm sure there'll be some egomaniacs who will do that over there to draw the attention that we are oppressing people. And it's out of sheer rebellion and ignorance that they do that. It's not out of the love of the game. It's not out of, it's ignorance and rebellion. And that's all it is. It's ignorance because they don't know what they're talking about. If they had to go to the beaches of Normandy with some of these men, they wouldn't be kneeling.
Yeah.
But I would venture to say 95% of them wouldn't even go because they're cowards. They beat their chest when they slam dunk a ball, but at the first sign of violence, they would be the first one to run and hide because they're not men. Men don't kneel. Cowards kneel.
Understood.
And cowards walk off the floor during the national anthem, a la LeBron James did that. Made me sick. Walked off the court during the national anthem. I'll never watch that clown again.
Yeah. He's been given too
Yes.
much.
Yes.
It's sad, too, because these are excellent athletes, and they could be using that for such good and to unify and to give hope, but instead, anyway, all right, well.
But you press them on China as they were pressed on China. They wouldn't say anything bad about China. Wonder why. Wonder why. Anyway, but yeah, so I focus on the good athletes. I focus on the positive role model athletes. I focus on the athletes who love America.
Well, and there's a duality to it, Del. You actually are faculty and teach how to get and how to conduct yourself to get those high-profile interviews. You've interviewed Tim Tebow, for example. But you don't only seek the Tim Tebows. You seek the names that no one's heard of, because you may not know their name on the athletic field as much, but their story is no less of an impact for the kingdom.
They're some of the best one to talk to. Because they have a fan. A lot of these folks who I'll be honest with you, I'd never heard of some of them. I went down to interview, but I would research and say, man, this is a great story. This guy might be a second stringer, but he's still here. If you've made it to that level, you're good. So it doesn't matter if you're a starter, but it helps to get the recognizable names, and I've been fortunate enough to do that.
Well, that helps book sales,
it does.
too.
It does help.
Speaking of book sales, your book is the launch was 2 weeks, 3 Mondays?
Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
And I saw you had a post where people are already getting it for Father's Day gifts and devotional
studies. I hope so. Be good timing. So yeah, I've been very fortunate, and there's some folks on this show as already purchased, and we're very grateful for that. Again, I can't see who's on there or listening, so I I've been messaged. There's some folks who have got them. So
we can go down the
It's very appreciative.
real
No, that's
quick.
okay.
Yeah, there's actually a pretty good. We've still got room. We're still a seat in our chat room if you'd like to go there. pjnet.tv, the best fellowship on the internet, the best kept secret on the internet for that matter.
I'd like to get on the Twitter thing. I'd like to get on the chat room again, but for some reason I can't.
Well, you can log in
I
with
think
Twitter
JD
or
put the
Facebook.
kibosh on. Yeah,
you can try both.
I think JD got me banned or something.
So yeah, it's well, you get center stage. I mean, I don't know how much better it get.
Tuesday nights, it's awesome
on Tuesday night anyway. So, well, your outreach and your media doesn't end with a barrage, a cannonade of published books, including Dugout Devotions 2 that just came out. Yeah. But you also podcast, and I am, I used to be poo-poo podcast because it's just audio, and video's the thing, right? But I am finding more and more of my time, almost exclusively now, in my automobile. Saturday, either it depends on the time, but usually on my way back from work, I am able to listen to your podcast and never lose signal on it all the way back. And this week was no exception. But your podcast, totally unscripted, just you sit down in front of the mic and just let her rip.
I've never, and this is a bragging, I've never done a second take. I've just gone on and done it and just hit record, stop at the end. So, I can't keep that streak going forever. So I'm sure I'll mess up somewhere along the way, but I enjoy it, and I'm looking to get on a bigger platform. I've been trying it out to see if I was going to stick with it. And, it's fun. It's my time to, rant, and I'm going to start ranting a little bit here. I don't want to go too political because you hear that all the time. And I just kind of use it. I kind of get my digs in a little bit, but not totally. I mean, I could, if I got started on some of this stuff that's going on today, I probably wouldn't stop. So
you're a different kind of ranter because many who rant, they shell it out pretty good, but they don't take it very well. But you're open to a sense, a debate. You're open.
I'm open to them. I don't get them. I see some of the messages I get. I can't read them on here. They're that disgusting. So I get those all the time. So on my political commentaries I write, I get some really nasty messages. But you never respond to them. You just keep going.
Well, one of your fans in the chat room has a question for you.
Oh, a fan. I don't have any fans.
Phoebe. So. Well, Phoebe says that
I had her mug last time, so thank you.
We know that Dell loves to visit Fenway Park. Will he still do so now that LeBron is part owner?
That's a great question. I wouldn't buy anything there. I go for I don't pay to go. So yeah, I love Fenway, and I knew that he is part owner of that, and a sad. I mean, good for him. He's a businessman. He's a shrewd businessman, and I appreciate that. I appreciate his talent. I appreciate what he does for the community because he's very giving. He's very philanthropic or whatever. He gives a lot of money. Let's put it that way. Good with kids. He supports kids, and I love this. Supports the Buckeyes. But just to walk off the court during the national anthem is just gutless. I mean, it's just coward. So there's no excuse for that. You cannot justify it unless you're like having you had bad tacos for dinner or something, and you got to go to the bathroom or something.
Yeah,
so that's justifiable. But to do it, to walk off the court in a planned demonstration is just cowardice. And I don't care if he ever calls me. That was cowardice. But I would go to Fenway. I wouldn't pay to go to Fenway, and I love Fenway. It's awesome. So it's my second favorite old ballpark to go to. Wrigley's still the best, in my opinion. Wrigley's still awesome. So just to watch a day game at Wrigley is nothing like it, and it's not just like Fenway. You got a lot of folks, if you get the bad seats, you got to look around. The pole was kind of like the old Boston Garden was in the rafter which I was at. And there was something about it. There's something about Fenway because it's not fan friendly. It's very intimate. I mean, it's one of the real old parks where the fans were intimate on, out there in right field. You're in the field, man. Mm-hmm. And that's a great park. And right in the middle of town, it's would love to get back there. A good friend of mine's a scout for Boston, And so we've talked about, going out there, going back to a game here in a couple of years. So love Fenway.
Well, I grew up or have family and spent a lot of time in the Orlando area.
Mm-hmm.
And the Tangerine Bowl there was always sort of a second class. It was sort of like Sebring to racing. Everybody knew about it, but it wasn't the main place. So they wanted to upgrade the Tangerine Bowl to have more capacity. So they built a new deck above the existing bowl. Okay. Mm-hmm. And this was touted to bring a lot of new people, commerce to the city. But there was a problem. The pitch of the deck was such that if you were on the deck, you couldn't actually see the field.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the old Boston Garden
blunders.
Yeah. I'll get off the rant on LeBron, but LeBron is not oppressed. He's not oppressed.
No.
So
No.
He's earned his money, and I applaud him for. Anybody who can get that, that's great. This is America. Get what you can get.
What an opportunity. Where else in the world could you make the kind of money that he is making doing anything?
To bounce a ball.
And that's honest work.
It is. And I appreciate it, and I admire that. But he should be thanking all the men and women who died for him in World War I and World War II, so he could stand on that court and play ball instead of walking off the court during the national anthem.
There was a day when the Negroes had their own league, sir. Remember?
Yeah,
those?
and there's some great history there. There's some great history there, and then of course I'm from the area that Branch Rickey's from, and Branch Rickey obviously signed Jackie Robinson and broke the color barrier, and I played a lot of my games at Branch Rickey Stadium here in town. So we're very much attuned to that league and to that history, and it's very honorable. And who's the only number retired in every ballpark? Jackie Robinson's number. So they honor him. So they can't say that some of these groups that are activists cannot say with intelligence what's going on out there, because they're so misinformed and misguided.
Well, the real hero was the Jackie Robinson. The real heroes were those athletes that made their way against a headwind of racial segregation and systemic racism that was actually real.
It was real.
And they opened the door for LeBron to do this. Really?
To do this. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So, and there's a real good friend of mine who's in my book, who I know really well, who lives here in town. His name's Al Oliver. Al played on the 71 World Championship team with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Played with Clemente. Has a was a 1982 batting champion for Montreal, lifetime 303 average. Al lives here. I see Al all the time. He told me about some of the times he went through, and it's awful. But you know what? I don't approve of that. What happened? But it happened, and it's part of our history, and it's made us who we are.
And
as
he
people.
Persevered through it.
He got through it.
He
didn't
persevered
whine.
through.
He doesn't whine now. And he talks about that, and he talked to me about that, about what he went through sometime back in the 70s as a player, and it wasn't good. But you know what? You grow, you learn, you move on, and you try to right the wrongs. You don't go back and erase it. You learn from it, and that's what we're trying to do. But the groups now, the two groups now, are trying to just erase history and say, "Oh, we don't agree with that. Let's get rid of it."
If they were only trying to erase history, that would be bad. But they're trying to modify it.
Modify it, erase it, and they're picking what they want to get rid of.
They're trying to write a narrative of quite frankly, fiction. It's just not so. Who's fact checking them?
Nobody. And I want to know who's over the cancel culture. I want to know who the person is, because I'd like to send them some information. I like to send them some suggestions.
I didn't read it, but you oftentimes use your material that you use on your blog or in your podcast or some combination thereof and submit them to other publications. But we shared here on the phone here a while back that they're just not as welcoming of your opinion as they once were.
Well, they approached me about it, and the one I wrote, what was it, 2 weeks ago? I don't forget what it was about. It was about things being canceled, and I said my local paper won't run this, and it was very tame, and they didn't run it. They didn't run it. They're chickens. They don't want to put somebody else's view out there that, oh my gosh, it might be offensive to somebody, so we better not run it. And it wasn't. I tamed that way down. And I talked about,
right? I mean,
my opinion. They approached me years ago, and I ruffled some feathers of some extremely liberal college professors, and it turns out I was right. A few months down the road, I was right, like I always am. But it doesn't matter. They complained that this guy is off the wall, but when you tell them the truth, just like the old Tom Cruise movie. You can't handle the truth. They can't handle it. And so what do they do with the truth? We have to suppress it. We have to edit it. We have to get rid of it because it's true, a la we can't have that out there. And I talked about the cancel culture and how it's come about and the history of this has been indoctrination of 30, 40 years of liberal professors and liberal media shoving this stuff down our throats. And we've raised a generation of wimps and crybabies and sissies who, if they don't like something, we have to cancel it. If I don't like something, I just keep going. I just keep strolling. Or if I see something in a store that offends me, you know what? I just don't buy it.
Yeah, it's simple. You realize that China now has the largest naval force on the planet.
So I wonder why.
And we are worried about Aunt Jemima pancake syrup.
I buy that intentionally now. And you know what, Coach? I've done the Bisquick and other stuff like that. It's the best. I love Aunt Jemima. I mean, I love that brand of pancakes and syrup. It's my favorite.
Well, if they would have looked into the historical facts,
no,
Aunt Jemima was quite the entrepreneur.
Liberals can't let facts get in the way of their opinions.
No.
They just can't do that.
Inconvenient facts.
Anyway. Yeah, they don't like that. So, but I would love to. If anybody knows who's a CEO of the cancel culture, I will give you I'll buy you a steak dinner if you can get that information to me.
At the TikTok.
At the TikTok diner. I would love that. I'll treat you to dinner in New York City if it's still running right now. I talked to a friend the other day who lives in Manhattan, and she said it's a ghost town.
Oh boy,
it's a ghost town, and that's what liberals do to you.
There's so much going on. Can we take a peek forward? What's upcoming for you in the near future?
Well, the next book we have out, Michelle and I are launching in July. Heart of a Hoosier by Indiana University Press. It's about Indiana basketball, motivational book about Indiana basketball. Michelle Medlock Adams and I wrote that. So we are trying to put together a nice little promotions for that. And so that'll be in July. And then we were invited to a couple of conferences we'll be going back down to Florida to teach there. And I think Serious Writer may be holding one soon. I won't give any specifics on that. But I'll probably be going to St. Louis to do a book signing and in Tampa. So we've got some busy things on the move. I hope they work out. And, they should. And then the big goal is in 3 years in Paris.
There you go. And in the meantime, you'll spend some time with grandkids. That's
yeah, it was impromptu tonight. It was last minute. It was awesome. Okay, can you come over for a couple hours? Sure. And everything drops when that happens. So all the priorities are focused. But I hope I didn't get too strong tonight or offend anybody.
No, we're good. We're good, Dale, and we always appreciate. Dale has been a faithful. He's one of our. You were the first, Dale, to actually, at the time you joined, you were by yourself. And number two, there was nothing to it other than a vision. And you have partnered with us and expanded that vision. And someday, perhaps, who knows, we may get to tell the story of some conversations you and I have had about becoming the media instead of fighting it. But
I've been on your show first, and that's probably why you got banned from Twitter, wasn't it? It was suspended.
I haven't thought of that until you said so. But you know what? Let me wind up on a positive note. That was a kick in the gut. I mean, we had substantial influence on Twitter, but they suspended first our application, but then they later suspended me. But that led me to what we're doing today. We
Right.
are now streaming on 5 Twitter accounts. This program is streaming live. I would never have thought of that, would they not have suspended my account. If you are watching, hearing, or seeing this at some point, and you would like to have our programming carried live on your Twitter feed, if you will contact me, we will make the arrangements. It won't cost you anything, and we will limit our use of your account to the 2 programs per day. And that's a way that you can help the PJNet message and the gospel of Jesus Christ get
So
carried.
kind of like the Tokyo trip being canceled.
There you go.
You're disappointed, but good things are going to come out of
Good.
this.
Yeah. There's
And who knows? I'll have time to. Maybe my wife will go with me. I don't know. She was not going to go to Tokyo, so who knows? Maybe we'll make a month-long trip to Paris or something like that. Who knows?
I've actually
Which
been
I'm not a big fan of France, but we'll see what happens in 3 years.
I was not, Dell, because of my experience in the Caribbean islands that are French.
Right.
And I had a very bad attitude about how the hospitality of French. But actually, the France itself is quite the opposite. They are very hospitable. They are very welcoming. Very different atmosphere.
Not a fan of the government, but I still go back to the days when remember when Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi, and Reagan. He loved Reagan. I mean, he was a man's man president. We kind of was going to retaliate. You do that now. If somebody strikes, you strike back. I think we have an administration now that just apologizes for America. So they wouldn't dream of fighting back. Oh my gosh, you might offend them. Actually, so anyway, Reagan sends some jets to welcome Gaddafi, I guess you might want to call it. Yeah. And France would not grant airspace for the United States pilots to fly over there. So, and this. So what happened that we accidentally dropped a bomb on France? Just in this field empty, just accidentally dropped one, a couple of them on France. So I may be saying little oops, sorry about that. And had America not come into France and freed from, we would be speaking German today. It's not oppression; it's called appreciation for America and the mighty power that we had. And I say that had because right now I'm so disgusted with what's going on with our military. We were built back up, and now it's just I'm nauseous as to what's going to happen.
I think the testimony to the American efforts in World War II is we could have taken all that land. We had conquered it.
Yes.
And we only asked for enough land to bury our dead. We went in, we kicked butt, we left.
We mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished, and we left. We were we were not there on imperialistic conquest. We were there on a mission for humanity and
for freedom.
Dr. Van Busick, we were off the air at the time, but he said history will note that was a just war.
It was.
And was prosecuted justly and rightly and ended victoriously for the good guys. So, how ungrateful they are. By the way, if you want to Google French military victories, the only thing that will come up is Napoleon.
Yeah.
Okay, they are the most conquered country on this earth. Okay.
And I can talk about that because my name is French. I have French heritage. My name in French is Duduit. Duduit. And we're part of the French 500 that settled this area. So I can talk about France because I am French. Yeah. So, but I'm not a big fan of the government right now. But I'm sure we'll apologize to them for going in there and freeing them here in a few years. We got 2 cowards in office, so I'm sure they'll do that.
We'll do it. All right. Well, Dale, we've run out of time, and we appreciate you sharing with us. Always, it's just easy to talk to you, and it's always a pleasure to have you join us. And appreciate your undying faithfulness and confidence in not only PJNet, but most importantly, the mission for the kingdom of Christ that we stand for. So we appreciate. See you next week.
Thank you.
All right. Right here on pjnet.tv, and there you see the side view and all the stuff. You can't see the brand new monitor that was gifted to us. Over there you can see its kindred brother, identical to it, right there. I'll kind of turn it for you. Okay, see how big that is compared to that little one in front of it? Isn't that sweet? All right. Well, folks, it has been a wonderful evening. I wanted to, if I could, just take a moment. Well, no, I won't. It's already been late. I'll be up late tonight if you want to know more about what's going on behind the scenes at pjnet.tv. I am not that hard to reach. Just hit me up on private message or something, and I'll be up. I'll tell you more. Folks, it's been wonderful. And thank you, all of you who are logged in to or visiting from the balcony in the pjnet.tv chat room. And before I leave and put the Del Didway bumper up, I would like to ask you to ask yourself 2 questions. Here's the first one. What is the boldest thing that you've ever done for Jesus Christ? The second question is, well, when was that? There's no room for cowards. We have to be bold. So it is my hope and, in fact, my prayer that none of us will be satisfied with either answer.